Hey guys, welcome back to the Noteworthy podcast with my co-host, the beautiful, pretty, whatever he is.
Pretty white
You
smile.
are. You're beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
So,
you very much.
We have a special guest with us tonight. Last time we kind of talked about, your background, how you got
Yep.
into YouTube, and how, you progressed through the years, and the good things, the bad things around it. And then a couple months ago, you brought your friend Brenten in, and I got to meet him, and so y'all kind of collaborate. So tell us a little bit about.
We really hit it off, didn't we?
Sure. You know what? I want out of this podcast already. There's not even alcohol involved.
This right here is my beautiful friend Brenten Szekely.
I love being introduced that way.
He's 21 years old, a very talented individual. He's a fast thinker, not an overthinker.
That's funny.
I'm an underthinker.
I'm an overthinker. Very, very talented for his age, and I think we get along great because we have the same mentality when it comes to that grind mode, that hustle mode. So, same with the cameraman, J-Quan, behind the camera. Say hi, J-Quan.
Hi. So, you're a YouTuber as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brenton's got...
I don't even know how
many
ended up-
subs you have?
700,000?
Yep,
700,000
subs.
710,000, something right around there. I don't even know
Cranking.
how
So
I
you
got
don't
here,
even
though.
So you don't even have to have millions of subscribers to
No.
actually make money.
No, at the end of the day, I don't think subscribers mean nearly as much as views do, because views are what convert, right? So there's plenty of people out there who have 10 plus million subscribers, yet we'll still average more views than them. And it just goes to show, like, loyal fan base, I think, is everything in this industry. Because at the end of the day, like, you want the people watching you to convert outside of YouTube. Like, you want them to convert on merch sales, on podcast listens, on whatever it may be. And the only way you're going to do that is with the people who are consistently watching your videos. And a lot of the time, like, bigger YouTubers, after they fall off, they might have that 10 million subscriber count, but they don't have a loyal fan base anymore.
They don't have the engagement.
No,
they don't have people that.
And
like,
that's super important.
like you the other day. I watched you put up. We talked about this when we were in Hawaii. You were gonna come back and you were gonna buy a bunch of shirts,
Yeah.
sign them.
Mm.
Dormo and I were talking on the way about it today, and I was like, "Oh my God, he dropped 1,000, right? 1,000 shirts and sold them all out within 72 hours."
Very fast, yeah.
And so Dormo said the first thing he asked you when you were on your way back the other day when he picked you up, and I was like, "Oh, you think they're gonna all sell?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, way to be negative, but second, like, you didn't know though, right?"
No, I had no
No.
idea.
But
I had no
you
idea.
kind of
We talked
have an
about that a lot.
idea because you have that engagement and that relationship.
You can take that risk, which is
Right,
super
yeah.
great. I think that's like a major blessing, is that you're able to take risks like that whenever you have high engagement and like a loyal following.
Yeah.
A lot of the time,
You have it in your head, like it's a
Uh-huh.
risk, but I also knew at the end of the day that maybe I wouldn't sell out, but I would at least get my recoup my investment back. I knew
Yeah.
that for a fact.
So
And that
why
was-
do you think it? So we'll get over to your stuff in a second, but why do you think that sold out so quickly?
The incentive was amazing, man. It was a great deal for those purchasing the shirt.
So you're giving value.
Yeah, you're getting a signed shirt regardless, right? A really nice shirt, you're getting signed regardless.
Right.
And then you can have a chance to come to the farm and another additional free day in Florida.
So yeah, so you're giving away a whole trip. People
Yeah,
get to come out,
yeah.
hang out with you. So that incentive's there.
Yeah.
But you would never have that if you hadn't given value through your videos and all that
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
stuff.
exactly right.
But so so how did you get into it? So let's back up. Like,
Oh God.
how old were you when you started?
I started similar to Paul fishing. I loved fishing when I was in 6th grade, and people at my school were like, "Yeah, like take me fishing," and I was like, "Okay, well, if people want me to take them fishing, how about I make YouTube videos teach people how to fish?" So that was my initial concept.
But YouTube wasn't big yet, right?
It was a thing. It wasn't crazy. Like having YouTube as like a full-time job was like that was a rarity back then. People like Logan Paul and stuff like that. That's when they were just starting to become a thing. But I had done that and then kind of mixed in with ponds and aquariums and whatnot. And I remember when I was initially doing fishing stuff, Paul was doing it as well. And there's a point in time where I had more subscribers than Paul. Paul had like 8,000 subscribers and I had like 22,000. And Paul had posted a video outside of the normal, and it was like him building a pond. And I hadn't seen his channel up until then because the video had done like 250,000 views like randomly in a day, and it came up on my recommended. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh my God, like I have a pond in my front yard. I would love to do this. Well, luckily, and this plays a huge role in our friendship. Luckily, outside of me just like going and filming, building a pond video, I reached out to Paul and I was like, hey dude, like I saw your pond video. It was sick. I would love to do one on my front yard pond. Would you be okay with that? If I don't want to seem as if I'm copying you or if I'm coming after you after you.
That's a cool thing though that most people probably wouldn't do. They'd just be like, I'm gonna steal your shit and I'm gonna do it.
And that is what built our relationship. We were both super young at that point, and we had talked or whatever. And I even remember I had not uploaded for like 3 or 4 days, and he had hit me back up and he was like, "Yo, what are you doing?" Like slacking. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is cool." And then I think a few months following, I was at lunch in high school. I was in 9th grade. And he texted me, he's like, hey, I'm about to call you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I stepped outside and he called me with someone at the time who builds ponds, who had previously built his. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to fly out to Texas. We're going to build you like a $20,000 pond. And like you can make content on it. And he was like, the only reason I wanted to do it with you was because you were the only person polite enough to reach out to me in the beginning and not just copy my stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that built our relationship, and that was, God.
So what made you want to start doing it?
I feel like it was so much longer.
Dude, like
did you
we've
know
been brothers for forever.
I know.
Did you know from the beginning, like when you started posting videos, that like that's what you wanted to do as a career, or did it just kind of evolve?
I loved making videos. I thought it was awesome. I didn't think it was possible to turn it into a full-time job at the time. And then when I was in 10th grade, I moved my mom up a tax bracket because I didn't even have like a card then. And then
your mom was getting all the money that came from it into her account?
Yeah, and when I wanted stuff, she would just
drop in a tax bracket.
Yeah.
She's like, wait a minute.
She's like, okay, well.
How old were you then?
I was 15. Maybe?
So this goes even further back. Like
I forget how.
Like
young,
I've always been driven
young
from when I was little. Like I tell people when I do seminars and I talk, I'm like, listen, I was always into making money. I used to get paid $20 to do my grandmother's yard, mowing it, and I'd pay my brother 10. So I was an entrepreneur.
There you go. That's awesome.
I'm just a hustler. So have you always hustled?
I have. So
since you were little? Because you told me like some of your background, your family going even further back.
A good story is I was raised by a single mom and my grandma, and she had me when she was 18, so she was...
That's the story I wanted you to hear, because you told me that before.
Yeah, we didn't necessarily grow up in the best environment. She wasn't in the best state of mind, neither was the rest of my family, but second she found out she was pregnant, she like turned it around. She had gotten 2 jobs, went to college, my grandma helped raise me, and we definitely grew up more on the poor side of things, but my mom was just a super driven individual, and she kind of instilled that in me. And then as I got a little bit older, the second I was able to make money, I found out you could get a job at 12 reffing soccer games. And I was like, I didn't think you could get a job.
That's what I did as a 12-year-old messing up my betting. I'm just kidding.
Oh god, it was brutal. I hated that. But so the second I turned 12, I started reffing soccer games, and then I remember my first concept of hustling or working for myself was I had started making YouTube videos in sixth grade. And I wanted to film a mini series going to catch fish. Going to catch fish up north. I wanted to call it The Road to the North. And I based it off another YouTuber that I was inspired by. His name was John B, which almost everyone in our niche started YouTube because of him. And I was like, okay, I want to do this. My mom was like, well, you can't you're in 6th grade. I think I was 12 or 13 at the time. And she was like, you can't just get on a plane and go up north, first off, without me, and then to another kid's place who's your age that you don't even know. And I was like, no, I want to do it. She was like, well, if you're going to do it, you're going to have to pay for it. So we had a push lawnmower. Like, not one you could grab the handle and it rolls for you, just a straight push mower. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to push it around the neighborhood and knock on everyone's house and see if I can mow their lawns. And I did it for a month straight and made like $2,400. And this is before the world was like, it was $2,400 to get on a plane. Right. Thank God. But I would push it around my neighborhood. I mean, I would push the lawnmower miles on the road just to get houses. And I made the money so I could pay for my mom and I to go there. And we went and filmed the series, and it was just like I realized what working for myself looked like. And then I realized the outcome and the possible benefits that you could have from it if you were driven enough. So did that, and
are those videos still around?
They are. They're private, but they're.
Why would you not make them public?
I would love. There's a lot of videos.
You
that are
should,
private.
man.
There's
like,
a lot of private videos.
I think people would love to see
I
that
could
stuff all the
comfortably
way
say
back.
there's 300 private videos I have on my channel. And I privated them a long time ago.
I got 300 private videos on my phone, but those are never going public.
Yeah, I got some of those.
I
got some of those.
Just kidding.
Oh, but no, that was initially how I started, and then
So when was the first big amount you got?
It's so crazy.
Or do you remember?
What
did you just start out slowly? Like with him?
So this is so. I'm thinking about this is so nostalgic because
Right.
remembering these numbers is the coolest thing on the planet. God, I was so young too. Okay, so I don't mind talking numbers either. Well, when I was 14, no. So when I went from 8th grade to 9th grade, when I went into high school, the start of 9th grade, I was making $10,000 a month. Is what I started making, and it was crazy because I was like, wow, I'm making more than my mother. And
Did she realize you were making more?
Yeah,
Because it was all going to her account, right?
At that point, that was I had gotten a debit card then, and the following year I had registered for an LLC. And then
At how old?
15, 16 maybe, 15.
You are so blessed that you had a mother like you had.
Oh, she
like
was
for real.
No, she was really good, and she didn't understand that world either. But she was like, "You got to figure it out. Like those are going to be huge mistakes. Like those will be major errors." If you
See,
don't
my
learn that
parents
stuff
were
now.
amazing people, but like they were very like. My mom went to college for 3 years and graduated. High school 3 years and graduated. Was a teacher. My dad was a computer guy.
Yeah.
So like they were very conservative. And your mom's from Texas too.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like they're somewhat conservative just because of the way we were raised and brought up. For her to be open enough to let you
And it was crazy because we fought about it for so long. Like the longest time, like I got so into it and so dedicated. I used Paul as an example 24/7 because Paul had left high school, and I was like, no, I'm out. Like I'm out. I'm done. And I fought with it ruined my relationship with my family for 2 years because that's all that we would talk about. Like she wouldn't budge on me leaving school, and actually. I get it. Like I understand.
I understand too, but it's like when you have something like I didn't talk to my family for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like I got to, my parents wanted me to go to college. That wasn't going to happen. I ended up failing out. I graduated. I tell people I failed Algebra 1 as a freshman and a senior because I loved it so much. I had to take it twice and then fail it twice. And it's like when I got to be 22 and I found what I really, really wanted to do, which you're lucky you found it young.
Yeah. No, thank
But
you.
at 22, I found it, and then there was nothing that was going to stop me. Like, and my family was all over me. Like, you're going to jail. That's a pyramid scheme. Like, all these different things they told me. And it's like, I just finally had to, like, block them out. I had to get away. I didn't talk to them for 5 years until I got my head straight enough. And now my family, they don't take credit, but they're like, oh, aren't you glad we pushed you to be like,
oh my God,
what are you talking about? Like, come on.
Yeah, I can relate on that on a deep emotional level.
But
yeah, that was one thing I got into, and then 9th grade and 10th grade, I graduated 2 years early, so my mom finally was like, okay, I'll let you go online. And the second we got approval for my school, I graduated my junior and senior year in 3 months, so I could get out.
Wow.
So I graduated early. And then it was weird not.
So the whole time you're building your.
And I was building my business and just really trying to be different. I knew that was going to be my career path by then. I was well aware of that. And then I also had people like Paul around me who had the same mindset. Was very motivated and driven.
That's important, right?
No, it's so important. It's so important to
who you surround yourself with.
And it is so boring to win alone. That will be something I'll always stand by. You don't want to win and not be able to celebrate with anyone.
Right.
Like it's so much better when you can celebrate with someone. And a lot of people have greed with that. Like they don't want to share it. And
right.
I think that's a big mistake people make.
See, that's with me. Like I have that when you just said that you don't want to get. What did you say?
You don't want to win alone.
You don't want to win alone. Like that should be a freaking T-shirt.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people they either want to step on somebody to get over them to win.
Yeah.
And they think they're making other people feel like they're like with him. He and I wanted to do stuff together for the longest time, but I never cared if we actually did because I just wanted him to win.
Yeah,
and he wanted me to win, and he wants you to win, and y'all want each other to win.
That's the thing is we are so invested in each other's lives, and I love that. Like when Paul tells me an idea that he's doing, it's like when we're off the phone, I'm talking about his idea to J-Quan, to my mom. So I'm like, he's gonna do this, and this, and it's so motivating because it's vice versa. And
when I see his videos, like the shirts
story.
The other day, I was like, holy crap, he can finally pay me. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I was like, oh my God, like for watch you hit an idea and it pops, like it's huge.
It's so cool. It's so cool because he was on the phone with me weeks prior and he's like, yeah, this is what I do. Do you how do you think they're gonna sell? Like, what's your personal opinion on price? And we're just like over here brainstorming at 2 a.m. while
Yes.
I'm walking up and down my street, and this happens like
All the time.
like weekly.
It's like
with
weekly
ideas.
thing.
And
I just
we're-
like think of things, and I'm like, all right, well, the only person I really call is Brenten, and then about 90% of the time, J-Quan's next to him.
Yeah,
Right.
so we go in about it, but it's so cool to see. That is one thing he had actually mentioned last night is there was a long time where we would have these big ideas and like slowly progress on them, or
Yeah.
they just wouldn't come to
I
fruition.
did. I went into the living room last night and brought
And
this up.
right now, we have noticed like this year especially that all the ideas that we're having, we're taking like major action.
You know, you hear Tony say that every
Yes.
time. It's like there's a lot of things, opportunities. We always say opportunities are never lost. They just go to other people. But having an opportunity is one thing, but you have to be able to take.
Execute it.
You have to take massive and immediate action.
That's the thing, and
Like-
you can't overthink it. Like if you're gonna run with it, like, you gotta run.
Yeah, we spoke so much about doing so many things, and like I always said, I want to do this, and I want to do, or should we do this, and should we do that, and like you starting
find
this
out once you
big
just
thing
start
that you
doing
have
them.
about to he's about to release something crazy, and
Yeah.
like all these different things we were gonna do all these years, and now this year, even down to simply just working out every day and being disciplined to do it, like all those different things we always wanted to do but never did it, and now we've been doing it.
It was like whenever you and I reconnected and I was doing the rideshare thing, and I said, well, I'm going to Puerto Rico. And I really wasn't testing you. You thought I was testing you. But you go, I said, I'm going to Puerto Rico on Monday. And you go, all right, I'll book my flight right now. And I'm like, oh, we'll see if he does. And I sent it, and you booked it. But that right there showed me that, like, you've made
He's
that
on.
turn.
Yeah.
You made that turn because there's a lot of people. I've made more mistakes. I've missed so many shots in life, but I've taken more shots than a lot of people.
Exactly.
Like, I put $1 million into this ride share stuff, not knowing if it would work,
Yeah.
not knowing if anybody would buy into it, and now it's like we have 40 cities open in less than 4 or 5 months. We're working on this other app together, like. But what you said
Cool.
is huge. If people don't take the shot,
Oh.
like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It's all those cliches, but you know.
I think that is the most applicable sentence.
So So then you progress to there, and
Yeah.
you're making 10 grand a month.
Yep.
Was it easier to make money back in those days? Listen to me, back in the old days
So it's
of YouTube
it's
10
very-
years ago. Have you
it's-
been doing it 10 years?
Almost.
And you've been
I mean,
about?
yeah. As a serious job, I would say like 5 or 6. But I've been probably around for close.
How old are you now?
Close to 21.
21.
Close to 10 years. Probably
So
about
how
nine.
did you and I don't want to call him your photographer because he's way more than that.
J-Quan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
J-Quan.
J-Quan,
How did
J-Quan,
y'all kind of?
So
like he's your partner
It's
now.
actually a really sad story. So
Oh, this is great.
So
This is
my
great.
my single mother had bought me these fishing lures for Christmas. That I,
Does anyone know this?
No, that I treasured.
J-Quan, your toes,
And
brother.
I was so excited. She had just gotten them for me. I was probably 13, and there was a kid who made YouTube videos who lived down the street from me. His name was Nate, and it was Big Bass Adventures, and he had like 250 subscribers. But I was like a fanboy. Why I don't know. And I heard that
Did he have more subscribers than you?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
What Nate
no.
was that? Was that Nate?
Nate. That's Nate. Nate.
What?
So Nate had his Big Bass Adventures
What?
channel, and I think I did have more subscribers than Nate. But Nate caught that 9-pound bass, so I was like, that's my idol. And I heard,
Isn't it crazy the things that we think of like that's impressive?
yeah, I heard that he was at this pond down the street that I always fished, and it was like 6 p.m., maybe 6:03. And I pull up to this pond, and I am so stoked. There's Nate, and there's J-Quan. And I'm like,
At this time, you never met.
Like,
Yeah,
were
who's
they
this-
were they hanging out?
yeah, they
Okay,
were
so they're
best friends. I was like, who's this melanistic man? Like, that is also with Nate. And I'm like...
You thought you were going on a blind date, and there's J-Quan sitting there.
And so I meet Nate, I'm fanboy, and I'm like, I don't know who J-Quan is, but it's so nice to meet you guys. And we keep fishing or whatever. I walk over to the side, and I set my stuff down. The fishing lures that like my single mother had just gotten me for Christmas, she struggled to purchase. And I'm walking away, I'm fishing. I come back, they stole everything. They stole it all. It was all gone.
They took your shit,
They
really.
took it all. They took all of it.
All of it.
Oh.
That's how they met.
That's how we met, and yeah, I was heartbroken, and
Your idol
yeah.
was one you desired. You went down there just to be with.
it was
Stole
gone.
your shit.
Yeah, it was. that was a brutal moment in my life. It taught me something.
What? Not to put your shit down?
But
oh my God, that's amazing.
The way we had re-met was a week.
In court? Your Honor.
That's funny.
You have to do I gotta hear how you ended this.
So another buddy of mine hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I just got reached out to by Nate and he wants to have like a 3-on-3 fishing tournament. Like, do you want to be involved? And we'll get one other person. It's gonna be Nate, J-Quan, and someone else." And I was still such a fanboy. I was like, "Yeah." And sure enough, J-Quan's fishing.
Even though you knew they took your stuff.
Oh yeah, J-Quan's fishing against me with my stuff. And I was like, what is this about?
Oh!
But
that's a great
yeah, we ended up becoming like best friends. And
so did y'all have this like heart-to-heart talk? No,
no, we never
brought it up until now.
Never brought it up. So
well, about a year later, J-Quan actually went and replaced all the
that last year. So 10 years later. But
the Bible says as long as you pay it back sevenfold, you're good.
There's no time constraint.
No.
But yeah, we became. It was Nate, J-Quan, and I that had became like best friends, and they were very. What I realized.
That's the greatest story I've ever heard.
At the.
You know what? If you would have held that and harbored it and like held on to that grudge, you wouldn't have what you have now.
No,
maybe not as good.
No, exactly. And so we became like best friends. And
I'm gonna go steal some shit later
right?
on today.
You never know what it can turn to.
Put on to find a pond.
Oh, and what I realized was, and this is like a super cool moment. I had like friends throughout my life that I grew up with, but they like everything always revolved around me filming my videos. Like they were always coming to film the videos. It was always let's go film the videos. Like for you, they wanted nothing in return. And it took me a few years to notice that. I even remember, like, Nate was, like, as broke as he could be, and I wanted this fish from Keller Fish Farms, and we went there, and I was looking at it, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and he was like, "Dude, I'll just buy it for you." And I was like, "No, like, you're not," and it was a $200 fish, and, like, it was from the money it just got done, like, he got from training. He was, like, 15 at the time, and seeing, like, my friends invest in me like that was, like, the coolest thing ever. And then they ended up. They
got owed your ass.
Yeah, right.
That was an investment. That was payback.
Yeah, that's what it was. They were reimbursing me.
But you know what though? The fact that I'm telling you, like that is something that most adults would never ever get over.
Yeah.
Like, I've had business dealings where people like screwed me, stole from me, took from me, and I had to sit there and grin and bear it. I had people that we've hired to run companies of mine, and they'll take. We put $1 million into a bank account, and they went all through it. And some days, even till today, it makes me crazy. But for someone as young as you, to be able to get past that and go, and now it's like what it does is it strengthens that bond. He knows what kind of person you are, and you know what kind of person he is. So you can't can't trust him with you can't trust him with your shit. But I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But y'all probably since that point have been through a lot of stuff.
Well, oh my God. Well, all of my.
Like, how did you end up, like, with him filming and videographing and all the shit he does now?
All of my friends are older than me, so they all went off to college, and I was still home, which was, like, the most depressing moment of my life. So I was like, oh, these are my friends, they're gone. So I had, like, two videographers throughout the time that they were going through their freshman and sophomore year of college, which, like, I learned what trying to be a boss is like, which was very difficult. Especially when you want to be friends with the person, like that is very hard to implement properly.
Right.
So I learned that, and I kind of navigated my way through that field. And then I ended up firing a videographer, and I needed someone. And I had hit up Nate. He was at college. I think he was in Alabama. And I was like, "Yo, like, who do you think?" And he was like, "Well, J-Quan was interested in cameras." And I was like, "Okay." And he's in college at Oklahoma, working at a taco shop. And
J-Quan is.
Yeah, J-Quan is. So I called J-Quan. I was like, "Hey, like." You're in Oklahoma, like you would have to be here. Like my sister's bedroom is open, and like she sleeps in my mom's bedroom, and because she's like 6, she's 5.
Toddler, Paul.
Yeah,
That's not what I was laughing about. I was just thinking if I was
What
taking
direction you had, brother?
No, I was thinking. I wonder if he's got some good stuff.
Oh my God!
Just mess with you.
And what I knew J-Quan was about it, he was like, "Yeah, I'll quit my job and you can come pick me up." And I was like, "Oh, legit?" And he was like, "Yeah." So like 2 days later, he quit his job. I went to Oklahoma, picked him up,
I didn't know that.
and I drove him back here. And we have been together for the last 4 years, almost every single day, but maybe 5 days.
Because you got to watch him. I'm just kidding. I can't help it. Like, the jokes are just so easy. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Of course she's with you every day.
Oh,
I'm like, get an inventory every night. I'm just messing.
No,
That's the greatest story I've ever heard, though, because like so many people on both sides would have never had like, you know, humility on his part to go, I know I did something crazy, because we're all just. I mean, listen, I did the dumbest things when I was younger that like now I regret and I would never in my life do stuff like that. But for you to be able to get past that and him and y'all form that bond, now it's like I can guarantee you nobody would ever come between you.
No.
You know?
The one thing I've noticed is talking to a lot of people and telling, like briefly explaining J-Quan and I's relationship, every single person is like, that is a crazy rare relationship that you can spend that much time with someone and not get tired. Like, we have been together for 1,200 days. And we, like...
the fact you have to count it may make it... I'm just kidding.
1,203.
So, and 14 hours.
Yeah, like, we're going on. But no, it is great. And like, whenever I picked up Jake on the first video he filmed, he accidentally filmed it in slow motion. Like, it's not like it was a learning curve. It was a learning curve.
So in the beginning, though, you probably did all your own editing, all that stuff, right?
I still do all my own editing. J-Quan started help with editing now as well, because we have a lot of other ventures that we've gone into.
But like letting go of that control, that was a hard thing for you too, right?
Yeah. That
like,
was difficult.
I know you've been over and over trying to find different editors.
I've watched him try and find videographers and go through people. It is just a very particular
I don't
thing.
think I'll ever be able to have a videographer.
I don't think you could. I don't think
it's
like,
it's not my style too.
And you finally found an editor after years
Yeah.
of both of us searching.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And it's
But it's like you've got to, like, for you to be able to have him in the beginning, you had to have that learning curve and have that time. Like, what was the hardest part about for you coming in, for having him come in, and for him, he can tell us.
So this
off camera, but
this profession is very.
It is. Don't do that. It's a profession.
It is very fast paced.
Right.
It is incredibly fast paced, especially back then. So my biggest issue was not getting frustrated, because when something messed up, it would put us behind, because everything is next. If you fuck up, then it's like, oh, okay, where do you step from there, or how do you go back, or how do you make it work regardless? Because you're not missing an upload back then, especially back in the days. We were not missing an upload
every other day.
So, but J-Quan's dedication to catch on quick enough was like, okay, got it, we can get by with this, and we can learn. And I mean, now, dude, we've been to plenty of different continents, countries all over the world with indigenous tribes in the Amazon.
So now, like, he knows what you want to film. Like, he knows.
God,
like,
he knows more what I want to film than I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he 90% of the times like.
do this.
Yeah,
like that's what I need in my life.
No, I don't.
I tell people in my life, I'm like, listen, you got to know when to film. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna talk. I'm gonna run my mouth. I'm
them.
gonna do my business. Like, you got to be able to do it. It's like, I don't know how to teach somebody to do that.
Well, he has to like know what I'm thinking. Like,
so was that something you had to teach, or was that something that you kind of?
Yeah, you gotta.
How did that come apart? Like, you're like, okay, I need you to follow me when I'm doing this. I need to get this angle.
Yeah.
I need like that stuff over and over and over.
And doing like a bunch of crazy shit together normally helps, because it puts you in like high action, frantic situations. And like when you're in stuff like that, like after you do it over and over, your brain just kind of clicks.
Today I was ripping the go-kart, absolutely mobbing the go-kart. We just got this go-kart for one of his videos.
Yeah.
And I ate it. I ripped it to the left, and the thing flipped in the grass, and I wiped out. And I just look up, and J-Quan's, of course, right in my face filming.
Yeah.
So, like, he just gets it on camera, and you're just like, all right.
Like, but there's not a class. Like, there's not somewhere you can go online and go, maybe that's what y'all should be teaching online.
It's very individual based. Yeah, it's super hard to learn that, but it's great. Like, it's.
But see, like, for someone like me, I've never been on the other side of the camera.
Yeah.
Like, film. I've been filmed my whole life, being on stage and all that kind of stuff. But like, the great thing that you have is you could, if you really wanted to, probably teach someone over time, but it would take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But like,
We've
for
been on
me,
the other
I have
side.
never been on that side of going, how I can teach somebody. Hey, you need to do this. You need to do this. Maybe I just gotta have normal follow you all around someday.
No, it's hard, and everyone has their own ways of doing stuff, right? Like, when I'm editing, like, I have a very specific layout, where things go,
That's the hardest part.
and that's what I show to J-Quan. Like, other people on YouTube are going to teach it a different way, but I found this to be most efficient.
Right.
And that way, he knows that's our most efficient way. That way, when I come back to see what he's done, I know, like, exactly how he did it. And that helps me backtrack if I need to. It helps me move forward more efficiently. It's very important.
Yeah, and not to interrupt you, keep going.
No. I think it's very important that you, whenever you're trying to whether it's bring someone up with you, or like whether they're working for you, whatever it may be, is that you don't want to send them on a, hey, go watch these YouTube videos to learn this. You want them to know your style.
Yeah,
like,
I think it helps.
Very
this goes right into that. I think it helps that J-Quan is there and has been there filming it all, because he sees how Brenten, as YouTubers or influencers, like,
quit doing that. Y'all act like that's something.
Because influencers,
it's a real business.
Yeah, but that's why I do this. Like, if you learn to edit your videos while you film them, it's 10 times easier to make them.
Oh my god.
Like, I edit everything as I'm filming. I'm editing it in my head, the whole entire video.
It's huge.
So the second the second you're a filmer, especially like J-Quan now does it, the second he knows what the shot's gonna look like and where it needs to be placed and like how it's gonna be laid out in the video.
Yeah.
He's essentially editing the video in his head. He's just doing the physical editing at the moment.
Exactly.
Eventually, I'm sure he will. But like,
one thing I notice about like with you and me,
it's easy to teach when he's
when
with
I
you.
come up with an idea for our little stupid videos we've made, like I know. I'm like, okay, if I come up with this, and this, Paul's gonna edit it and make it look perfect. And every single time, he's got that, like we've got that chemistry or whatever that I know that he's gonna get the joke I want to get across or the point I want to get across. Probably the same thing with y'all. Like if you have that person that gets you and understands who you are, like it's easy. Then it becomes just
100%.
simple.
Although it's hard to get you and understand you.
Yeah, I don't know. When we were driving, we were talking
about me.
How difficult you are.
It's so difficult.
I am.
But
you know, if I had feelings, they might get hurt. But
If I had feelings,
if I had feelings.
no.
So-
That's good to go on a shirt. If I had feelings, they might get hurt.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Merch drop.
That'll be out tomorrow.
Come on, dude.
I'll
That's a
put
good one
that
for
out
you.
to my 2 followers, and I'll get my soul 100%. So like fast forwarding, like Paul and I talk about, like what are some of the hard things that you find doing
Well,
what y'all do?
here's what a lot of people lack in this business. It's only going to take you so far, right? And it's actually crazy. So you go from making your videos, and so you initially have a concept of what to film, and then you have to learn how to film, and then you have to learn how to edit, and then you have to learn ads, because ads are what pay you, and then you have to learn all about that style of business. So it's like, okay, you just learned an industry when you started with a hobby, right? And that's super important, and it's cool to be. I think knowledge is king, right? I think knowledge is so much power. So whenever you learn this industry, and then YouTube can only get so big. So you're like, all right, what next? I love what I do. I want to fuel what I do. How do I fuel it properly and step outside of the box? So then you have to learn another industry. That is where it's funny relating college to what we do, because it's like, oh, like they teach business in college. Well, I'm gonna go teach business to myself. And
that's what I tell him. I'm like, you have a college education
it is
that nobody
wild.
else, like a business education that you couldn't get if you went to 10 years of school.
It is the most cocky thing to say, but I could confidently say that no college could even remotely get close to teaching us what we have learned about business. It is absurd, like how far we've dove into it. But I think coming up with an idea outside of YouTube, but being able to use YouTube to leverage the idea is super important. But then that idea is in another industry, so you have to learn about another industry, whether it's a car business, whether it's a detailing business, whether it's a fish business, right?
You only can keep that new thing relevant for so long.
Exactly.
Off YouTube. It's just a nice little kickstart, and like it gives you the nice little fuel the fire. But at some point,
it's got to be a real business.
that hype
behind
dies out, and then that's where you either become a real businessman or you lose your business.
Exactly, and that is so important. Like a lot of these YouTubers will be like, oh, well, like I have my merch, I make my money off my merch. Okay, cool. Well, what happens when YouTube just dies down, right? Because that's where your merch sales are coming from.
Right.
So that's why things like PC Aquatics are becoming a thing. That's why I've had my own ventures and I have another one going on. But I sold a detailing business like 3 days ago. And learning that business, that's a manual labor business. So learning how that works, hiring people in that workforce, oh my God, like it's absolutely brutal. And moving from LLCs to how you would file taxes in this nature and how you would do this and how you do that is a whole nother concept.
How many failures do you think you've had?
Oh God, good God.
A ton? A
Yeah.
bunch?
Yeah, quite a bit. Like quite a bit.
A lot of it doesn't even make it to YouTube.
No, there's been
But I'm talking about even business ventures outside of what your mainstay is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of it doesn't even touch
they
promoting.
don't even know,
Gotcha.
and it's failed. It's absolutely, but that's the.
I'd probably have five or six.
Yeah, I would say.
But do you think that those are things? Do you think those are valuable? That you've had the failures?
I think they fail for a reason.
But
Yeah.
It's not the
do
right.
you think they're valuable?
that is the biggest lesson this day.
Good.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like a lot of people are scared of failing.
Oh God, you
I
have
think
to.
Yeah.
the more I
You're
fail,
required to fail.
every time I fail, every time I've ever had something that like did really good and then went away, the next thing that came along was almost twice as big as that.
Yeah, that's how
And
it
it's
is.
weird because whatever I learned from that one,
I'm not
I
trying
don't
to
make the same
I'm not
mistake.
trying to relate it to anything, but it's kind of like women relationships with women, in my opinion.
Oh God,
Like every woman that you
you
go
learn
through,
from each person.
I've learned from every girlfriend I've had.
Not everybody does. I don't.
You don't.
That's true.
Some
At least
people
so
do.
people like us.
Some people do learn. I learned it in
I've learned
business.
from every
I don't learn
single,
anything
and
else.
I've never had a bad girlfriend. Don't get me wrong, I really haven't. But
But
like,
you learn what you like.
you just learn what you like and what you're not okay with, and what they might not agree with. It's just you learn so much, and the next one you know what to look for before making things efficient, wasting their time and yours. You know, and then you go to the next one. And
Yeah.
No, it's 100% the truth. But I think that so many people are scared to take those chances.
Oh, dude, it's
Like-
the most important thing you can do. And if you fail miserably, even better. Like, but you have to
Yeah.
have the drive to,
To get back up.
to get back up, and then go with something else or restart it. Like,
But then again, don't you realize that is a thing, and what we're saying is very true, because if it was so easy and everyone could just make a business, and granted, some people get lucky and get it the first time and become.
Sometimes that's the worst thing that can happen.
Well, they
I've
go-
had
they
people
go
that
nuts,
I've
right?
had people
Yeah,
that
they
were
don't
successful
understand
out of
that.
the block. Like I had guys that would do speaking stuff, and they
Yeah.
would go in front of the room, and they would be like, if somebody was scared to death to go speak, I was like, good. Like when you told me you were
I
scared of
hated crowds.
like it's
Yeah.
freaking you told me cameras are one thing, but speaking in front of people scared the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that I was like good, because if you went up and you were just good, I've had guys that went up and just nailed it their first time, and they had nowhere to go but down. Like
Yeah.
having to struggle, having to get there. Like first time I ever did a presentation in front of people, it's supposed to be 20 minutes. I stood in a corner because I was scared to death. It took 4 minutes. People knew less about our business when they walked in than when they walked out. Like I screwed it up so bad, but like the guy that I worked with, I got in the car after. Well, he was sitting outside of the room with his mouth going, "Oh my god!" Like I could see him. We got in the car afterward. We had a 3-hour drive, and I go, "God, I sucked." And he goes, "You sure blankety blank did." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Most people would tell you that's okay. You was your first time. You messed up." And he goes, "If I tell you you did good, you know you sucked. I know you sucked. Now you can go forward."
improve. Yeah.
So it's like,
Yep.
you know, like that's the thing.
It's a
and
stepping stone.
so if you like, I don't want to take too much more time, but like, what do you think is the hardest things, the things that you don't like about YouTube? He and I have talked about these things. Like, if you had a perfect world with a perfect social media platform, what would it be?
Oh gosh. What would
Like, what were the things? Like, what are the like? I always ask people.
I
What do
personally
you
have
like?
an answer.
Well, I know your answer.
No, this is different than what I said last time, even.
Oh, you just change your mind everything.
No, it's just like that's the
Just
same
like-
thing, but this is another.
Go ahead.
I think YouTube, since it's such a big industry, they're this I said last time, they're horrible customers. Like their clients, creators.
I have a
There's-
video that I just saw from you today that said, no matter how big our other stuff gets, you gotta have customer service.
Yeah,
and
it's like-
that's
by
you're the
customer
customer.
service, like,
you're,
on the
you're,
customer,
you're
right? It's like-
YouTube's customer.
Oh, Google, who owns YouTube, is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. You can't even get in contact with anyone. Not only that, I have been making videos for 9 years on YouTube, 13 years if you include my oldest channel, 13 years on YouTube, and I've never once, not that I complain about it because I don't care, but I've never once been on the trending page. Not one time. But there's creators that in my niche that will just hop on, make a video, and get put right on the trending. And it's like, how? In 13 years, I've made thousands of videos, never
But
have
why
once.
do you think that happens?
I have no idea.
You-
It's
there's
like
no
a
rhyme or
genre.
reason
they pick
to
and
it.
choose.
It's like they pick and choose. They pick who goes on there.
Yeah, one thing that
There's no
No, I understand
way.
it, but like, why?
I
Like,
don't know. But that's another thing that I just dislike. I hate how they do pick and choose. They want a creator to be big. It's so easy for them to click a button and say this guy's huge.
what's really sad too is like like Lojo, like
Yeah.
that one. So his channel just got hacked, right? And this is how this man has a family. This is how he takes care of his family. This is his full-time job. His channel gets hacked. he can't find someone in YouTube to get a hold of to make it come back. This is his
And how many
man's
subs does he have?
Oh, almost 1 million. This is the man's livelihood. Like, what do you do?
You see what I'm saying?
And
That's crazy.
I know people this has happened to, and they never got their channel back, and there goes their career. There goes everything they worked for, everything they built, just like that. And YouTube won't help them because there's no way.
And that's
to
so
formally talk with
debilitating.
you.
Like, he could go try to start it over and do it again,
Oh,
but
God.
how hard would that be? Like,
It's so sad. It seems like
so
only
is
people.
that one of your biggest gripes too? You don't have access
Yeah,
to
I hate that. But I also think I think YouTube has gotten super strict over a lot of stuff. Like, I see a lot of things that can slide, and then things that just make no sense.
So there's no consistency.
No, there's not consistency of that nature, and that is a little infuriating.
And guess what? There's no consistency, and then when you get in trouble for doing something that's age restricted or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
who are you going to talk to get it removed?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It's
You're done.
There was a video we had
He
made.
was telling me about a video a couple weeks ago that they demonetized it,
Yeah.
right? And then you had to take it down and fix it and put it back up, but you lost some money during that time.
Exactly. No,
Oh, yeah.
we had
There's
made this
nothing
video.
you can
There's a raccoon island in Miami, and the raccoon island it's also known as Beer Can Island, and everyone goes and gives these raccoons beer, right? Like, that's what they do. Now, I'm obviously not gonna do that because, like, there's something wrong with that, giving animals alcohol. But I was like, okay, the raccoons love it. But I was like, I'll get one of those liquid death waters because it looks like a beer can, and I'll give them that. It's water though. So we filmed that, and then YouTube had age restricted it because they were like, yeah, it's animal cruelty. And I was like, I did nothing wrong though. So I had disputed it, and they were like, okay, we're gonna have a human review it. This video is 20 minutes long. The beer can segment is 16 minutes in. I dispute it. They say they're gonna have a human review it. 4 minutes after they say that, they say the dispute was denied. You couldn't have even watched the video and got to the part of where that happened.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that works. So it just goes to show, like, how at the end of the day,
They don't
like
care.
they
It's
don't
the
care.
same
They don't
thing
care
I
what you
say when it, like, within the rideshare deal. I say a lot of these companies are technology companies, and humans get in their way instead of being a human company and using technology to make it better.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow, that's a great way to put that.
That's ridiculous the way they do things.
It is.
At the end of the day, it's as bad as the customer service is.
I'm so grateful.
I'm so
grateful for what we do. It
making
is
YouTube
the
videos.
biggest
Listen
blessing
to
on
you
the
kissing
planet.
back up.
Yeah,
but
I do
listen,
love you,
I do-
YouTube.
I do.
No,
by the
listen,
way.
I understand, but it's just because you don't like one thing doesn't mean you don't like the whole thing.
No.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're allowed to have issues with different things, but so where do you
Put me on the trending page, please. Just once. Just once before I retire. Just one time.
Just one
Trending.
time.
Just once.
So, tell me this: like, where do you see? Like, I've asked you the same question.
Yeah.
Where do you see social media and things like YouTube going?
Uh,
Because, like, you know what I heard the other day? I think I told you this. That there's people, Gary Vaynerchuk. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk says he thinks at some point there will be influencers that will be AI influencers
that's what I was
that
going
are
to
be
touch on.
making up. You know, like.
That's my thing is I would have an honest answer, but now with all the AI stuff going on, I don't think I could honestly answer that because I don't know where the world's going. Social media wise, it's I hate the AI stuff. Like it infuriates me because it does get in the way of a lot of the real stuff we do.
But I think if you keep up your relationship like you do with your people and
I
having
think
them
that's
come
the-
and do things,
Well,
that's the
I
only
think-
way you're
I
going
know,
to do
I
it.
do
Exactly.
think at some point there's going to be regulations to AI.
I really do hope there is.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I don't think they'll just let people do whatever.
I don't know.
But what have y'all seen as, like, is it easier to make money now or was it
this
in the
is,
past?
This is crazy. Like, whenever I was doing in ninth grade, like $10,000 a month, I remember I was making that when I would do 3 to 4 million views in a month. If I were to do 3 to 4 million views in a month now, that's going to equate to $50,000 to $60,000. That is how much.
Say that again, go back.
So if I were
It's
to
like
get,
5 times than
if
that.
I were to get like, if I
You
were
have to get 5 times the amount of.
No.
5 years ago, 3 or 4 million views would make $10,000. Now, 3 or 4 million views will make you $50,000 or $60,000.
Why?
That is how much more advertisers are paying.
Oh.
Inflation has gone up, but inflation has massively gone up with what they're paying.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I do love that. Now, granted, it is harder to get those views. It's not as easy to get that many views.
So
in a
easy to
month.
get views back.
Like back then, you could consistently have like a million view video every other month. Or
in
every
2016, I was averaging like between 10 and 15 million views a month.
it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars you'd
Yeah.
be making a month right now. But
And
that's
now my channel probably does like 4 or 5 million a month.
Yeah.
Or 5 million a month.
Because there's so much more
No, I
competition.
think it's just the way the algorithm works, right? It's a little bit difficult. Our niche is very saturated. It's a lot more
Yeah.
creators. It's
But a
again,
lot of these creators jump in and jump out, though, right? Like
hard to
they
keep
pop.
consistent.
Yeah, a lot of these people can't keep consistent. That's
It's hard.
I've noticed that.
But there's some creators in our niche that are crushing it right now.
Yeah, that will always be my biggest advice though to anyone would be consistency.
I say it all the time.
That's the biggest one. Over.
No,
everything.
that's what I've noticed about you.
Yeah.
As
That'll
long as I've known
always
you,
be
like you're just always. I mean,
If you stop, you stand absolutely zero chance in this industry. And
Yeah.
that's it. Like it's done.
like you can't stop putting content out
No.
for a week.
Like,
Because if you don't for a week,
No.
There's no family vacations and there's no, like that's not a thing. Like you can't.
like could you put enough content together to put out for a month? Or would that just?
Well, that's how you do your family vacation.
That's how you.
That's how I'm asking.
And
Is
it's
that's available.
for me. It's impossible. I couldn't.
Yeah, you
do
just consistently. I could do it. I just grind like I'll grind for like 3 or 4 days, make like 3 or 4 videos, and then I could be off for like a few days.
it.
So-
I have to be real time.
So ending this, since we're almost an hour in,
Yep.
like
That was an hour. Holy smokes!
I
That was
know.
fast.
So tell me, like, what do you think? And J-Quan, I want you to say this off camera too. I mean, what do y'all think is the key and the secret to you being in this as long as you have? Like at your age, because I mean, y'all are below 25. I mean, most people are just now getting out of high school or college, starting their careers, and y'all are, you know, probably middle-aged in your careers.
Truthfully, I already said it. Like consistency would be the number one. Is why we've stayed around. But why I think we both
Like
have,
inside personally, like what drives you every day to keep you going?
making people laugh.
Yeah, he's funny.
That's my thing. If I can make
That's
people,
how I am too.
if I
Like,
can
both
make
of
people
them.
laugh, that is my
Yeah,
happiness.
I think you just be you, consistency, and invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And those 3 things will take you a very far, very long way.
If you can work on, connecting
if you can
with your
find other
audience.
people's fishing stuff out.
Yeah,
that's
if you can
helpful
finesse
too.
people, like that's ideal. No, if you
If you
can
just scam,
you're good. No,
just scam everyone.
if
Dude,
you
there's so many creators that have made so much money scamming people.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, you
that's
don't want to do that.
yeah, if you can connect with an audience, like
It's like
that's
you just gotta build
like
a
no
relationship
other.
with your people, man.
like
That's it.
like TikTokers, right? Like there's a very few that have made a connection with an actual loyal audience. Like that's so rare. I really do forget how amazing it is, especially with you, about how many people you're able to consistently bring in every single time, regardless of what you put out. Like
Yeah.
that is the biggest blessing on the entire planet. Now, granted, it took a lot of personality work and hard work, like to make that happen. But I think if you can somehow find a way to connect and relate with an audience, that will.
It
set you
also,
up.
I truly believe it has to be like almost a calling. It can't be something you just want to make money at. He said this before. If I was doing the YouTube for the money, I wouldn't do this.
Oh,
I wouldn't
bro.
be in my niche, I'll tell you that for dang sure.
I'm trying to make a whole other business so I can just always do YouTube and not have to worry about money.
But that's what I'm saying. Like with what I do, it's a calling. It's like I know every morning I have to get up and go do this because if I don't, I'm going to be miserable.
Exactly.
Like
And
it's
not
not because
about
of the money. I mean, the money comes because I am driven to do it. Same
Yeah.
thing with y'all. It's like you're driven to make people laugh. You're driven to.
Well, the money just allows you to keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
If that wasn't coming in, then physically, all right, I got to go get a 9 to 5.
You can only
There's
do
another
it
way
to-
around it. You got to pay bills.
But let me
You
ask you
gotta-
this last question.
All right, last question.
So, what could you go get a job as a?
Absolutely not.
Could
I
you
could
go get a
never-
regular job?
I would rather be homeless on the side of the road, and I mean this with every bit of my soul, and I will find something to make money before I work for someone else. I will not do it for the rest of my life till the day I die. Put my 6 feet under.
And why?
I just will never work for someone
Well,
else.
Because
why?
you know
because
your
you've seen other
potential.
people do
You know-
it,
you
or
know
is
your
it because
potential.
you?
Grew up watching both my parents work for someone else. Still do work for someone. Well, now my mom works for me, but yeah, I just can't do it. I don't. I'm a very independent person. I don't like being told, and I don't mean it in a
No,
douchey
some
way.
people that work.
just don't like being told what to do. I really enjoy creating and doing it on my own and learning and making mistakes and figuring it all out on my own. I don't want someone telling me, all right, this is what you do today. Here's what you do, and if you don't get it done, here's the consequences. I don't need that. I'd rather work on my own thing and grow something of my own for the next couple months, even if it requires me living in a trailer or whatever the heck it may be. Dude, that's sacrifices. You're just building something that will benefit you later. That's it.
You kind of-
We'll leave you the last word.
I will say this: once you start doing it by yourself, you'll and you see some form, even if it's a small amount of success. It's very rare you will ever go back to
Unless,
having,
of course, needed. I mean, granted.
I
but-
think,
Sometimes you got to make a step back and keep doing what you have to
and
do.
I
but
think a 9 to 5 for people is like. There's plenty of people. I think a 9 to 5 is great for a lot of people. Like
yeah,
people
some
want
people,
to live that life.
my brothers don't care.
they're not wired
Yeah.
like that.
No,
Yeah.
and
I don't know that my son is wired like I am
Yeah.
because I had a conversation with him for an hour here today, and he wants to go back and work in the restaurant industry so bad, and I'm like, I'm gonna punch my. I don't even know if you're my kid. You might be adopted. Like, how the fuck does this even come out of your mouth? But then I gotta stop myself and remember,
Not everyone.
he's
is
not
like-
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's okay.
And it's okay.
I think that's a great route for a lot of people, and it provides a lot of stability. I think if people are a bit like
That's true too.
that's something
It's
they
like you're
want stability.
guaranteed.
It's like go that route. That's
Yeah.
okay. There's also a lot of people who are probably gonna watch this and see how you and I just thought, and in their minds they're gonna be like, yeah, that's right. I don't want to work for someone. That means I need to start hustling. They won't actually do it, and I'm calling you all out because that's exactly what's happening. You'll listen to us, and then you'll be like, that's how I want to be, and then you still won't do it, or you'll start and you'll realize how hard it is. You won't follow through. It's a very specific mindset.
If it
and a
was
lot
easy,
everyone would do it.
All right. How did you just? Well, I guess that's the end. Thanks. How did you do that?